wait for the answer. The answer comes automatically because God answers things. Uh, if something was not answered, it is maybe something, an obstacle in your life or an obstacle in the spirit world, which is the prince of this air, Lucifer, trying to stop you from gaining God's answer. But we have to stand in faith. I'll tell you this real quick. We've been believing God for financial miracles, okay? The other day I went to the bank. I opened up the bank statement, and there was an extra almost $2,000 in my bank. I don't know where that money came from. I said, where that money come from? I said, God answers prayer. You tithe, make sure you tithe, believe God that He will answer those prayers, and it will come to pass. Well, anyway, real quick, like I said, I didn't know where that money come from. I wasn't expecting that. I said, where'd this come from? So I thank God that He's been answering our prayers because we tithe for the Lord. All right? Now, let's go to little faith. Number 3, little faith. Matthew 14:28-33. Okay. At this stage in the spiritual growth of Peter, he was a man of little faith. However, after Pentecost, he became a spiritual giant. Let us take a look at his little faith and profit from it. Jesus came to his distressed disciples walking in the water in the midst of a storm. Peter asked to come to Jesus in the water. He must have thrilled at the thought of doing the impossible. Jesus said, come. Now, at that point in time, Peter had faith. Peter did the impossible thing. He walked on the water by faith. So you try walking on water. What's going to happen to you? You're going to drown. Okay? But at that time, he had faith. Now listen up. Why you always have to keep your eyes on God. Next, Peter did the inconceivable thing. He saw the storm and had a second thought. He doubted for a moment. He lost sight of Jesus. He may have turned and started back to the boat. In other words, he took his eye off Jesus. Whenever you pray and you have faith on God, maintain that faith in God at all times. Don't worry about the circumstances. You are a soldier. You've been drafted into Christ's army. You will fight on until Jesus comes back. Our war will end. Our battles will end when Jesus comes back. And when Jesus comes back, the reward will be waiting for everybody, okay? So just continue fighting. We know what the Bible says in Revelation, that at the end, who wins at the end? Does anybody know who wins at the end? Jesus. And what's Jesus going to do when he comes back, Brother Joshua? He's got that whip, all right? And if you know what I mean by whip, okay, all rebellion will stop once and for all right? So we got to please God, all right? We got to continue fighting because without faith, it is impossible to please God, all right? Now, Peter took his eyes off of Jesus, right? Now, Peter did the natural thing. He feared destruction. Doubt. Don't doubt. Now, that happens to a lot of us. We get our ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. But like I told you in that short testimony, I wasn't expecting that. See? But if you're faithful to the end, things start happening. Pastor Michelle and Pastor Robin, I've been seeing a lot of blessings lately. Okay? And if you see it, like the other day, things are happening. This church is going to grow exponentially. Okay? People are going to come by faith. We are believing by faith this church will be filled. This church has a destiny to fulfill. And like Brother Montero and all the people that are coming in, now we know that there is a purpose for us here. Each and every one of us has a ministry to fulfill. All right? And the only way we can fulfill the ministry by faith in God. Because what? But without faith, it is impossible to please Him, right? For he that cometh to God must what? Believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. So that little faith of yours, don't deviate. We're gonna have ups and downs, but you're a soldier. A soldier gets out. You knock me out, we're in a fight. You make sure you knock me out completely because I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna beat you. Plain and simple. Okay. The devil's gonna attack you. He's gonna try to knock you down. Get up. Put your fist back up and knock him out. You know, just fight. No, it's fight. What? Fight what? Okay. Yes. Claro. Mm-hmm. Oh yes. Sí, sí. Yeah. In other words, he's saying, stand in faith. You're gonna have stuff coming up your way. Uh, our former brothers and sisters have passed away. They stand faith. They believe everything. They're like Abraham. He believed God, right? Sarah, all of them. Abraham is the father of many nations, but Abraham was promised the land of Israel today. Is that fulfilled yet? No. But he's standing faith even to the end. Now they pass away, but they stand firm, all of them, from Paul and all of them. They all went through all that stuff. The stuff that was waiting for, they're going to get it in the millennium, okay? Because that's when everybody rewarded for that stuff. Because God keeps his promises. All we have to do is stand in faith. Don't have little faith, because if you have little faith, it's not going to amount to anything what you're trying to. You are really, when you have little faith, you are doubting God. You can't be doubting God because God is all powerful. Okay, we have to stand in the faith. All right, all the apostles, all the brothers and sisters for the past centuries have gone through problems, trials, and tribulations. We will have trials, tribulation. We will have persecution for the church and different things, but we have to stand firm even into the end, even if it comes to us dying. Okay, but if God is a rewarder, and He's going to reward everybody as long as you stand in faith. So now let's talk about 3 kinds of faith. All right. He says, in this chapter, we see the faith of Martha, right? Martha's faith was limited. Martha's faith was fundamental. At last, unlimited faith came to Martha. So let's see what it says. It says in John 11, 21, 44. We're going to go to John 11, 21, 44. It says, in this chapter, we see the faith of Martha in connection with the resurrection of her brother Lazarus. Now, Lazarus fell ill, and Martha and her sister Mary sent for Jesus to come and heal him. Jesus delayed his coming until Lazarus was dead and in the grave for 4 days. Then he came to raise him from the dead and found the limited fundamental faith of Martha his only obstacle. Now, see, she thought because he didn't come when I want it my way. No, that's like what was that old commercial? Have it your way at McDonald's or something like that, I think it was. Well, you can't have it your way. You got to have it God's way. Okay? She doubted, thinking that, well, if he would have come like 3 or 4 days ago, he would still be alive. But she still has not realized that he said, I am the way, the resurrection, and the life, and nobody comes to the Father except me. In other words, he had the power to do what he wanted to do. Okay? So he just delayed that only for for her to see God's promises. All right? Martha's faith was limited. She said, Lord, if thou had been here, my brother had not died. The death of Lazarus meant the end of Martha's faith. She believed that Jesus had the power to raise her brother out from the sick bed, but not from the dead. Her limited faith restricted the power of Christ. Matthew 13:58. Limited faith is controlled by circumstances and motivated by fear of failure. Okay? What's the opposite of faith? You can't have fear because it's not going to work out. Martha's faith was fundamental. Jesus said, thy brother shall rise again. These words were spoken to kindle her hope and faith in Martha. But she said, I know that he shall be rise again in the resurrection of the last day. Martha declared her fundamental faith in a great truth, but that is not enough. Jesus stated, I am the resurrection and the life. Jesus was saying that he had all power over life and death. Then he asked, believe thou this? Martha evaded the question by stating her fundamental faith in her creed. It is not enough to believe in a creed only. Faith must go beyond your creed to the living, all-powerful Christ. Her faith limited the power of Christ, and Jesus wept. Jesus wept when he came to raise Lazarus from the dead and found limited fundamental faith only. They were believing for him to come back, but they were not up there where they were supposed to. Okay, remember, everything comes by steps. You're going to have obstacles every single day of your life till the time comes for Jesus to come back. Mm-hmm. Sí, sí. Sí. Mm-hmm. Y se va. In other words, stand your ground, believe what you're believing for, without a shadow of a doubt, that what God promised that he would do, he will do. But Jesus knew that she was believing that he's going to come back alive, but she was saying in the resurrection. But she still haven't gotten hold of the fact that Jesus is the resurrection. All right? And that's the only reason she was doubting, because she haven't had a hold of that. Like us, sometimes we say, I hope I get it. But you were praying to God to get it. And that's why I like to watch that guy, Frank Markham, on YouTube. He's always talking about faith. You get words, whatever you say will come to pass. You're going to have, like I say, attacks. So, because you know that when you go to prayer, you pray something, always going to be attacks in your mind. As soon as you get on your knees, or in your bed, praying or whatever, things start happening, disruptions, phone, people knocking on, and then doubt, then fear. And when you let those thoughts come into your mind, then you start deviating for what is your goal. And your goal is to keep your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, for without faith, it is impossible to please him. Okay? Now, let's continue for the next one. He said, at last, unlimited faith come to Martha. When she consented to have the stone moved from the grave, when Jesus first ordered the stone taken from the grave, Martha objected in unbelief. Then Jesus, challenging her to believe, her faith in other words, She said, I am not unto thee that if thou wouldst believe thou should see the glory of God.